Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co-host
Continuity monkey.
and
Oh, and that other guy,
yeah,
Mamukal.
yes, Paul A. Presenza, aka the Moocow. And then we've also got our special guest.
Liz Fletcher. And
Yes.
for
Yay.
today, my mascot is Coco.
Oh,
Oh,
Coco.
hi,
She's so cute.
Coco.
She's adorable. She's trying to get in your lap.
He just he's
Oh,
he's my therapy dog. So
Nice.
he
Okay.
just I don't know, he's always next to me.
Aw.
All right. Well, do you have a therapy Sasquatch?
I don't, but I'm thinking of asking one for Christmas.
Okay. Well, if you want, you can probably ask for Six Fingers here, the Legend of Six Fingers, which is the movie we're doing right now. Paul is scratching his head about did you want a therapeutic or therapy Sasquatch yourself? Or are you
Who doesn't?
kind of jealous
Come
about
on.
that?
Right?
Um, so anyway,
I got a
I
therapy
mean,
penguin.
I don't know, as long as he was full with the you with well, we'll get into all that. I don't want to spoil anything yet. But we will be spoiling a lot more stuff when we come back after we listen to some
Mood
Music.
music.
and we are back. Oh, thank you, Liz, for joining us for that. That was
Yay.
awesome.
Of course.
We're here to talk about the Legend of Six Fingers. Yes, and every time I hear that name, I automatically think of the Princess Bride. I don't know about you guys, like
Yes.
the guy with the six fingers on his right hand or whatever,
The six-fingered man.
the six-fingered man. So this is the six-fingered Sasquatch, I guess. I didn't count how many fingers.
Well,
He has
it's
three
kind
on
of
each
cheating.
hand.
Yeah, he's got 3 fingers on each, which is
Oh,
kind of
okay.
cheating.
Okay, three fingers. That's right. So three fingers, one on each hand, and this was a basically movie done by Sam Qualiana, who we have
Snow
done.
Shark.
Yeah, we did Snow Shark before. Those are in our second season. We did that with John Johnson, and so we wanted to do. Well, I wanted to bring back another, and he's got a couple ones. He just released one called Lake Effects. And there's another movie that you like, Paul, that I'm surprised you haven't put on the show yet, which is Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes.
That sounds like a winner.
It's a
Yeah.
cute movie. It really is.
Well, so like it's funny because Snow Shark is so goofy and silly, and so is Post-Apocalyptic Commando Sharks, and I think this movie and Lake Effects are more of his more serious. It still has a little
Yeah.
humor in it, but more serious films that he does.
And I was a little surprised by that because fully expected this to be more silly, and it was not.
It had humor in it. Let's not say that it didn't try humor in it, but it wasn't yeah, it wasn't silly.
It's
Like
not a
this
hard
was
comedy.
no.
I found it very humorous.
Okay, good. And then is that in a good way or a bad way?
Um, in both ways. Like I laughed at the funny moments, but then there were also moments that I don't think were supposed to be funny that I laughed really hard at.
We laughed, we cried, we braided each other's hair. Totally get it.
Yeah. I guess to begin with, I mean, so other than Sam Qualiana, it's also produced, I believe, by Greg Lamberson, if I'm correct. Let me pull this stuff up real quick. So, The Legend of Six Fingers. Uh, yeah. So, oh, good Lord. I'm sorry for this. My internet is being very slow on my cell phone. So I don't know if it's being like that for you guys for me talking, but I don't think so.
I don't think anything can slow you down.
I don't think so either. So let's see. So it was Yeah, it was produced by Greg Lamberson was the producer. Michael O'Hare did associate producing, by the way.
Mm.
And he was like the sheriff or something or whatever, like an expeditionist in Snow Shark. Um and then so yeah, Greg Lamberson, and he had done like he was the producer of Widow's Point that you and
Yeah,
director of
yeah, yeah.
Widow's Point
Yeah.
that you reviewed. He did Slime City Massacre, Naked
Yeah.
Fear, tons of other movies. But he produced this movie and he's good friends with Sam. Like they work together and
Cowhat.
yeah. Um there you go. Michael Razzo's also the executive producer. He's the head of
Oh
Camp
yeah, we know him.
Motion Pictures, and he does a lot of really fun films. A lot more stuff with more nudity, and I was surprised there wasn't any in this movie.
I know. Well, Sasquatch was, or Six Fingers was naked mostly.
Mm, I guess because I don't think he had regular clothes on unless that
I'm
is
sure he was naked in that suit because I'm sure it was hotter than hell in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that sixth digit was actually a finger.
okay. All right.
Little bit of Sasquatch dangle going on in there.
Uh, I didn't pay that close attention. I'm
Liz, you're
sorry.
turning pink down there.
Oh
He's
my
laughing.
gosh.
All
I knew
right.
I was going to be laughing hard with Paul here.
There you go. Well, I'm happy because this whole season so far, Paul and I have been together and we haven't used anybody like separately. We haven't gone and done other podcasts, for Indie Film Cafe
Yeah.
itself differently. So we've had every guest I brought on or so or Paul's brought on, we've been doing the show together on. So I think that's been a great season so far because of that. But it's been a challenge at times just because we got to get the timing and other shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Going.
we haven't had a chance to go into um into the I don't want to say the lab, but the studio as much as we would like.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of that has to do with just the fact that it's just harder to get people to do stuff, go places, and stuff. And I don't know, we don't a lot of the people that we used to have that would come into the studio have gone, moved and stuff,
Mhm.
and everything. So it kind of sucks because the people we would be like, oh, let's ask Lenore to come in, and then hopefully she'll be back this summer or something. We'll see. But right now,
We got
you
people moving away. We don't have anyone moving in.
you know, Liz, you got to move down here.
Yes.
Why are they all moving?
Uh, just doing different things. I guess I don't
I
know.
mean, I moved to LA, for a little bit. So, I mean, I guess it's just, yeah, if that's where you like wherever you want to be, you know.
Well, and of
Uh,
course, remember this is very high military area, so a lot of times spouses are in the military and they can only stick around for 2 to 4 years, and then they
Oh,
get their
yeah.
papers, and then they gotta go to the next place.
Or you've been using people that have been coming from NASA, like interns and stuff. So they'll come and, stay with you, then they'll leave and then, when they're done. So but we were lucky because we got like what Jen to start with and she's continued to come. But yeah, so anyway, the studio is not as applicable. So we've been doing a lot more Zoom, and it's been a lot easier to get people on Zoom to come
Mhm.
in and stuff. We just gotta like us, we when we schedule this like I think 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, just to make sure, everybody can be on or whatnot. Um, so let's see. And then I'm looking, I'm trying to find some more backstory with this. So it's got Lynn Lowry in it, so that's awesome. She had a
For
great
one scene,
yeah, her and Deborah Shawn had pretty much one scene, even though
one
Deborah
day.
Shawn
Yeah.
Shawn had two scenes technically. I don't know if you watched all the way to the end where she
Oh yeah.
was, there with
Yeah.
with her doggies. That was so cute. I don't know if those are really her doggies or if those are like, somebody else's doggies and she's just all happy with them or whatever, but it was cute. Um I
So
love.
I did actually work with her on a set one time. It was
Oh,
for a film that we were doing in Indiana, called The Doorman. It never went further, but I just remember like being on set with her and thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is real life right now."
yeah,
And
she's a
like
pro.
I got so nervous.
She's the
But yeah,
sweetest
she's
lady.
very sweet.
We've interviewed her, and on top of that, I remember, so I would go on her Facebook page back in the day and I would just comment, or whatever. And after a while she saw my comments, she would reply and she would know, like, sort of know who I was, right?
Mhm.
And I met her at a horror convention. Trying to remember, I think it was Blood at the Beach. And I met her at the horror convention and I said, "Hi, I'm Jonathan Moody." And she goes, "Jonathan! Oh my God!" Like, she knew exactly who I was because of
That's
us
awesome.
commenting each other and stuff.
Yeah.
It was so
Facebook
sweet.
stalking.
I
Net
well,
net
no,
networking.
networking.
I know.
Exactly. Exactly, Paul. Don't dismiss this, like that. But no, it works. So people, if you're a fan of somebody, I remember when I met Ryan Turek, you know, he didn't, he was like, are you on Twitter? Are you on my Twitter page?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I'd comment occasionally. He goes, "Okay, yeah, I know who you are." Like, Ryan Turk was a dude who worked on Blumhouse stuff, and he actually knew who the hell I was because I'm doing that. So when you go and you talk to celebrities on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they might actually know who the F you are, So be careful what you do and say because,
Be,
Yeah.
be surprised. I've actually chatted with Juliet Landau
yeah.
on Facebook on occasion, and yeah, it's been kind of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really neat to do that.
I think I'm the only person on her thing that ever mentions or does a Cal thing, so I think that's probably memorable.
I think you stick out a little bit, Paul. Just
Yeah,
a little bit with that stuff.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
I hope
Keep
not.
keep being you, Paul. So Liz, can you describe this movie for us?
I'll do my best, Jonathan. So these two student filmmakers, or that's at least what they say. I don't know if they're actually students or if they're
They say
just
they're not students. Apparently the guy said
That's
that
their cover story.
that's a cover story, so
so that people will talk to them.
right.
Right. So they go out into the woods of this rural New York town. Their names are Neil and Drew, by the way. And they are interviewing people that live in the town to find more about this, these reported events where something has been killing pets and chickens and stuff.
Yeah. Pets and
And
chickens.
oh yeah, I remember the chickens part. I was so sad.
Yeah.
So they start to investigate. They camp out there and they start to hear weird noises, which I thought the sound effects were fantastic. They didn't sound cheesy to me at all. Um, and they end up finding, oh God, I'm gonna butcher it. Yayak
Yeah, yeah,
Asnuha,
Akanua, something like that.
There you go.
which
Whatever
is
Paul said.
which is a Native American legend similar to Bigfoot.
Now, is
And
this
this
a
guy,
real Paul, is this a real one or is this just they
No, he
made
made
that
it
up?
up. It's a made
Okay.
up monster.
it's
But
made
Okay.
up.
I do
Okay.
have some information, but I'll let you know. Go ahead. Go ahead, Liz.
Well, I don't have much more to say. They go out there looking for him and they end up finding him and he attacks the nerdy guy who dies. And then what happened to his friend in the end, the cameraman? Because I know he found, what was that guy's name?
The
Butch.
Butch.
Yeah, Butch, and then Butch
Yeah.
kind of sacrifices him at the end.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought was happening.
Yeah, there's a bit of a twist at the end.
Yeah, and we'll get to that because we'll get to that toward the end of our podcast, closer to the end of our podcast. But I do like the twist and stuff, and then there's a couple things I really like. There's We get into a lot more stuff to it. I'm not a very big found footage fan, and the biggest problem I have with found footage is the fact that most of it's talking, but most of it's like bickering and you're arguing with each other and then getting lost in the woods. This is why I do not like.
Mhm.
I will say this. Apparently, I've added the director of Blair Witch before on Facebook, and he has never accepted my friend request. And I wonder if it's because he knows I am not a big fan of Blair Witch. I'm just not. Like, I think it was a great idea for an independent film, and it did wonderfully. It did amazing, so they can laugh themselves to the bank.
And it helped all other independent films too. It was,
It also
Mhm.
hey,
hurt all other independent films too, because anybody in the world can go out and make this kind of movie. And other than like, I will say this, I've reviewed the movie for Mothman that
Oh
you did
yeah.
list, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I'm not a big but what you guys made up for it is like interesting characters who you actually wanted to see what they were doing. Most of the time it's teenagers or young
Yeah.
20
I
something
can't
year
stand.
olds who are just arguing all the time, or in this case they were partying a lot and stuff like that. I just did not have any interest like at all. Like I was like, why are we watching this stuff? Like I want all
It's
the,
funny
yeah,
because normally I'm like that. I'm normally the guy, complaining about that. It didn't bother me so much. I mean, it bothered me a little bit, but not to the point where it bothered Jonathan. What bothered me about the found this, and usually about found footage movies in general, there tends to be a lot of B-roll stuff that's put in there to pad out the film, and there was a lot in this particular film too. I mean, it looked nice. I'll give
I
them that.
liked the B-roll.
Just there's so much of it, but it looked nicer. I think whatever equipment they had was an upgrade from Snow Shark
right.
because it just looked a
Well,
lot better.
and maybe that's why they were showcasing stuff like they showed the wildlife, like the insects and stuff. There was a
The beetle
grasshopper or something.
orgy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the beetle orgy, yeah, stuff like that. I love that. That was kind of cool, but it slowed the movie down, in my
yeah. There
opinion.
was there was a little too much of it.
Yeah, when they have a lot of that stuff, it slows the movie down. From the other B-roll footage is them at the parties and stuff. I was like, dudes, why are we
Oh,
here? Why are
yeah.
Yeah,
we at a party?
I
This
didn't
is
like the party stuff.
no, and I thought it was all the characters were douchebags, and I was like, I
It was
don't.
out of place.
Yeah, I was like,
Uh,
go back to the nerdy
Now,
guy. I liked him more.
some of the B-roll that I did like was the stuff where you're exploring the area. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was good. And as a matter of fact, I did the whole Google Earth thing and I found where they were shooting. So they were definitely shooting at Royalton Ravine Park. You know that one little stone building that hit the ruin that was there? That's actually the Belva Lockwood Homestead. So they shot there. Then they shot up in 18 Mile Creek, which is just north of Buffalo. And apparently they went to the Niagara Shores campground because they were right there on the lake too. So I was able to actually go and find a lot of these things. You could be amazed what you can find for Google Earth. But it's a real pretty area. So I completely understand why they would want to focus that. It's just you're right. Having that plus all of the party stuff, when the party stuff doesn't really further the story, the nature stuff does, but the party stuff doesn't really. It just feels obtrusive.
What other than Sam Qualiana getting a chance to be on a little paddle boat? What was the paddle boat's like purpose? Like because it has that scene with him and his friend meeting up. That's not the nerdy guy talking about why is he hanging out with the nerdy guy? And I'm like, I
Well,
don't. Yeah.
it because I think it reinforces their relationship. Gets that guy to explain why he's going to all this trouble when he's complaining the entire time about not wanting to be there. And we because otherwise we're like, well, then why are you even there in the first place? Which is a legit
Mm-hmm.
question. But then he's like, he was my buddy from a long time ago, and blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
and
So
that guy
that part I got.
And that guy said whatever.
BFFs.
Yeah, and then the guy was like, "Well, you lose, you don't keep your first bike, and you don't keep your." I'm like, I kept my pet monster. I mean, that's I have not gotten rid of that thing. So
I've met him.
yes, you did. That's right. You got to get a picture with them and everything. That was the cutest. Oh,
Oh
'cause
my
I
gosh.
brought him with me to so Liz and I, the first time we actually physically met, I went to this really nice hotel in Kentucky, and Liz met up and hung out with me, and we just chatted for a while, and hung out, and we had to take a picture with she wanted to take a picture with the pet
Yay.
monster and stuff. I thought that was cute, you know.
Well,
But
it
then
sounds like we've been to Kentucky a few times, Liz. It's time for you to come on down to
Mhm.
Virginia.
yeah,
I know.
I
Get your
know. Well,
travel shoes on.
Oh, honey, I've been traveling every day.
I think she does have them. She just hasn't been traveling to Virginia yet. Yet.
I
It'll
understand.
happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. We'll get her out here. Don't worry.
But it's funny, as I've said, I'm not a big found footage fan, even though I did like Blair Witch. And of course, I was in that group that saw it when it first came out. So I wasn't part of the backlash thing that came later because I actually liked it. Um, but I actually didn't mind this. I kind of liked this more than I expected. And I think the reason is because they took it seriously and because they took the story seriously. Even though I will say the monster's kind of silly looking, they still went with it
Yeah.
and they still sold it. And so that when the deaths happen, it still mattered. It wasn't like a cartoon for me. So I have to say, I have to give them credit. I thought they did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm a little too harsh, but it's just because there were times where I wanted to zone out, because other stuff was going on that didn't have to do necessarily with this hunt, that wasn't bringing me closer to the characters, like the party scenes and stuff like that. And I get it. They have to. I mean, it's already a short movie. It's an hour and 15 minutes long. So they have to somehow figure out how to pad this thing out because it would get boring if they did Blair Witch style where it's all in the woods and stuff.
Well, the way I would have, I mean, this is just me, but I mean, the way I would have done it is at least part of it in the beginning is I would have done a little bit more with regards to gathering evidence. I mean, if you're looking for that sort of a thing, then you're going to be,
Yeah.
and they address trying to find physical evidence versus, just people talking about it. But, you bring out plaster so you can take plaster casts of the foot that they found. They actually found the one footprint. You would think that they would have that sort of there so that they can take it and measure it and then, compare it to other samples of other things because that's really your only, at that point, tangible evidence that this thing exists. So, and then a footprint isn't going to stay around forever. So, you would make the effort to sort of
Preserve it.
to preserve it and take it back.
Yeah. Well,
But they could have done that.
I don't know if they were expecting to actually find a Bigfoot, or whatever. Like when they heard about it, that's one thing, but I don't think I think they thought it might be something else. So I don't think they were ever thinking, let me preserve this Bigfoot so I
But they
can
do
show
go
off.
back. Remember, they go back and then they go back again. And, at that point, they could have done that. They could have gone out and bought plaster of Paris and made a few samples.
I don't think I didn't even know that's new to me, like doing that. So I never would have, me personally, I never would have thought about that. So I don't
They
know
didn't
if,
really seem like they were in the vicinity of a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or anything.
yeah, it's true. So, but maybe they could have done that. I don't know. But yeah, they never did anything like that. They just documented it on the video, or whatever, showed it
They
off on
didn't
the
even
video.
measure the footprint.
That's true. So who knows how big that Bigfoot was, or whatever.
Now, the interesting thing is they did say that it was 3 toes. And if you remember, and of course, the 3 fingers, I don't know if you remember if you've ever seen Legend of Boggy Creek, which is one of my favorite movies, and probably the movie that single handedly regenerated interest in Bigfoot. Um, the Falk monster was a three-toed creature. So that's an interesting thing. Of course, the problem with that is, anthropologically speaking, there are no three-toed hominids of any kind. So can't really happen. I mean, the closest you can get is a sloth, and that's not a sloth thing. So
It'd be
Yeah.
hard to walk and balance with only 3 toes.
yeah, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Now,
you can.
Unless you're like Big Bird.
I thought with the movie when it opened up, it was literally 6 fingers, like on one hand. That's what they
That's
were
what I was
doing.
thinking they were gonna
Because
do.
polydactyly does exist, and not only does it exist in humans, it exists in early hominids too. In fact, there are certain cave paintings that are hundreds of thousands of years old, where they've taken like red ochre or other things, and they've put handprints up on the walls, decorations, and some of them actually have 6 fingers instead of 5. And it's just a birth defect that has carried on through the hominid line, including apes and including humans. So if they had done that, it would have made a little bit more sense. But I think they went more towards, Legends of Boggy Creek thing, because I think that's a lot more, famous.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where he styled his monster after.
Well, was that because I never watched the original Boggy Creek, right?
You
Or
never did?
whatever. No.
Oh, I gotta show it to you. It's great.
And I know we did Bigfoot Wars, which was very much like it was supposed to take place in Boggy Creek. That was a like a Boggy Creek type whatever movie. But the was that found footage, or was that like documentary style, or is that real?
Yeah, it was one of the early documentary style where he shot not only in a way that it made you think that it was a documentary, but he used enough local people, like real locals, who actually went through that you couldn't tell. And then when he actually had actors reenacting stuff, he didn't say it was a reenacting. He just let the actors do their thing. So it presented itself like this was a real thing happening, to the point where you still have people who go out to Falk, Arkansas, looking for the Falk monster. I mean, it's really, really amazing. He caught lightning in a bottle with that.
Well, I think that's what this was trying to do, was trying to mimic that.
I think so
Absolutely.
too.
And so that must mean that Sam Qualiana is probably a huge Boggy Creek fan, and probably Greg Lamberson I would guess, and that was what sort of invoked this idea. And especially when you say both of them are three-toed monsters, that yeah, so this was basically the Legend of Boggy Creek.
It's like
3.
a mashup of Boggy Creek and Blair Witch.
Yeah. This would be like Boggy Creek for this generation.
Yeah, and that's not really a bad idea,
But there already was one that got made at the same exact time, by the way. Came out at the exact same time, called Willow Creek. By the way.
Willow Creek.
Done by Bobcat Goldthwait. Yes, the Bobcat Goldthwait, the very famous comedian who made a serious horror film, not comedic, whatever. And it's called Willow Creek, and it is amazing. It is really good. It's a little better than this.
Bigger budget.
I think I was a little bit mean earlier when I was talking to you, Paul. I was a little like, but to be thinking about this more, this movie's really pretty decent.
For a $5,000 budget?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm glad that he took it seriously, and I'm glad that they all committed to it, even with some of the, like I said, things that didn't quite work, like the monster suit, But
oh, you mean that
like
monster
Liz
suit
says,
behind me?
Like Liz says, the sound effects, like when it's Roy, I mean that was really good. I
would have started running if I heard that in the woods.
Yeah. The growling, whatever, sound effect. And it kind of freaked me out. Like when they're in the tent and he's hearing it, and then the nerdy kid, he tries to wake up, and Neil, he tries to wake Neil up, and he's like, oh, I don't hear anything, because at that time it was, right? Oh,
and then what makes it more interesting is that it's not just like a dumb animal trying to corner them or anything. It's doing this on purpose. It's purposely pushing it further and further and further away, deeper into the woods. And then the whole twist with Butch and Lynn Lowry's character comes out. You know what I mean? So where the whole thing has been a setup from the beginning, which is interesting because that's my only other issue with it is how the hell does that thing know English?
It doesn't. That's how I figured it didn't. Even though the guy says, "Well, I talked to it," and I'm like, "How can you talk to Bigfoot? Like,
Can't.
big, you can't speak to and Bigfoot. Like, remember, he's talking to Bigfoot at that one point, and Bigfoot's just looking at him like the whole time, not saying a word. Not, I would
I
have
mean,
loved though. I would have loved if it goes, "Rrr,"
if
you know?
if it's like a supernatural creature who has supernatural abilities, you could kind of get away with that. And I think that's kind of the angle that they were shooting for. I think they could have brought that out more though.
I would have loved to see like because we have the two hikers who died, and so that was the whole setup for the thing is like they only needed two bodies, so they got the two bodies. He got the two bodies, but now he's greedy. Now he wants more, more to eat, I guess, or whatever. You know, like
He's
you
got that
want.
extra finger to feed.
I know.
I mean, a chicken will only take you so far.
I know. Well, you can just go to Chick-fil-A. Could you imagine Six Fingers showing up at Chick-fil-A and like like the drive-through too? Like he's walking to the drive-through and you know.
I would
Um
totally do that. I really
I
would.
think I was gonna say this sounds like something that should actually happen.
like for like a TikTok or something, like
Yep.
where you just have somebody film somebody going to the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. Actually, nowadays Chick-fil-A suck. At least the one in our town in Williamsburg sucks because they're so busy all the time that they actually have to have
Mm,
people outside giving
yeah.
people orders and stuff because it gets just too busy. So which I know a lot of people hate on Chick-fil-A and I don't give a crap.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
it
my thing
yeah, I like it though. I think it tastes
because
good.
I don't really do fast food.
Yeah. You're a foodie. You like real food.
I
I
do.
like fast food. I'm cheap and whatever.
Although when I do like Wendy's. So because I like their
Oh,
spicy chicken
Wendy's is
sandwich.
great.
Yeah.
But Paul can give you a whole thing about the now what Wendy's is doing and how much he hates what Wendy's is doing because that's his favorite, right? You heard about that, right, Paul? You're the one who told me that Wendy's was kind of
Yeah, they're doing price increases based on what time it is, so that the busier the time, the more you're going to pay for the food, and if you're on off hours, in theory, it's going to be less expensive, but they're not going to tell you what time that is. You just have to figure that out, I guess.
So you may
Hmm.
go in there at like 12 would most likely be the most expensive time because that's lunchtime. And so they're like 12 o'clock, you get a $4 hamburger where you might get a $3 hamburger at 2,
Yeah,
or
so
something.
it's at least an experiment. I don't know how long it's going to last.
Well, dine-in restaurants have kind of already been that way because a lot of them have a lunch menu and then a dinner menu.
Mm.
Right. Yeah. And well, even the fast food Chinese places like Tops China or whatever, they have the lunch menu that you can get and stuff, but you have to order that, until like 3 o'clock. Then after that
Yeah.
is the dinner menu. So, I mean, some of those places, it makes sense that they would be cheaper earlier, maybe more expensive during dinner, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing because, mm.
I don't know. It's pretty unpopular, I can tell you that.
Well, I would imagine.
People are
Any,
still gonna eat it.
well, yeah, I mean, especially fast food because it's not going to be really expensive. It's not like they're going to price their shit up to like $10 a hamburger, you
Well, I
know.
don't know. People are complaining about like Five Guys and some of the other places. They're talking about how expensive it is.
We talked
McDonald's
about
is getting that.
that. A lot of it's corporations like deciding like,
Sure,
that we can do whatever we want,
pretty
like,
much.
and kind of sucks. But back to this movie that we're talking about. As John Ward will say, stay on target.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So let me ask you guys this: what did you guys think of the acting?
Liz, you're an actress. Like you're literally an actress here.
I mean, Lynn Lowry, she's always fantastic. Uh, Everything else, though, eh.
Debbie
But it
Rochon
was
was great.
funny. I was
Yeah.
entertained by it. I mean, I never come into these movies looking for something serious. I look for something to laugh at.
I mean,
And,
like Debbie
I,
and Lynn were the best.
Yeah, Debbie
yeah.
Rochon always knocks it out of the park. So you can always rely on her.
But Sam just being goofy and silly the whole time was just Sam, because I know him personally, so I get it. Like I'm like, okay, this was written just, and I almost feel it wasn't even written. It's probably planned out of what they were gonna do, but it does feel like they were sort of coming up with things on the fly.
Improv. Yeah.
Yeah, which these and maybe it was written. I don't know, like for a fact or not, but it does feel like it says there's a writer, and sometimes on these things there's just like a plan, written out
Mhm.
of like we're gonna go in this scene and this is what we're gonna do, and then this scene is what we're gonna do here, and then they're like improv it because the thing is it has to sound natural, right? And if
Yeah.
it's memorizing a script, sometimes it doesn't sound as natural as if you say, hey, okay, Butch, you're gonna come in here and you're gonna tell me that follow me this way and blah blah
And
blah.
I thought Butch was really, really good too.
I liked him too.
Yeah. I liked him too.
And let's not forget, Sam wasn't just, being goofy. He has a pretty emotional scene towards the end that was a side of him that I hadn't seen before, and I was kind of impressed by it.
Yeah. Also my favorite character though was the first like redneck that they go to their house and the guy just comes out with like a beer and
Oh
Oh,
whatnot and
yeah.
he's like, you want to video? No, you can't, you can't videotape me. No, go away. Go. Like leave my right? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just always laughing at that, like, you see the video camera on you, don't come outside. Like say, what do you guys do? Go away. I don't want you in my, but he came out, talked to him for a second, then I was like, nah, go. Leave my house.
Well,
And
he's
that's
probably
nothing.
excited to have company.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll go with that. That's what we'll go with. That's why he acted that way. I don't know. 'Cause he just kind of came in and he was like talking to him for a second, and then he was like, "Nah, I don't want." Because they brought up the fact that the animals were dying, and he was like, "I don't want
Mhm.
to talk about that." So maybe he knew. I don't know. Thinking about it, maybe he knew some
I'm
information.
not sure, but as the movie starts off, again, I'm sort of expecting it to be more of a silly, goofy comedy, and it's when they first get to Debbie Rochon's character, and she plays that straight, and she plays it for empathy. That's when I knew. I was like, oh
Mhm.
shit, this is not goofy, ha ha ha, funny.
Nope.
This is serious, and at that point, because she really sets the tone for the rest of the film, and the rest of the film follows suit. And I was glad for that, because a lot of times in some of these other movies, it's not consistent, and it kind of goes back and forth, and you kind of get lost in the
Mhm.
tone, and you're like, is this supposed to be funny, or is this supposed to be serious? And there was no losing it in this. I mean, yeah, there were some funny moments where he's being goofy, but overall it was fairly serious, and I think that's probably why I enjoyed it a little bit better, because they made the effort to be serious, and they went with it, and
Hmm.
I thought it worked out okay.
I agree. And yeah, it's funny that you say that because like, what is it? Yeah, Deborah Shaw does set the tone for the rest of the film. She was the first one to really give like a serious thing. She was like the second
Mhm.
interview, I think.
Mhm.
And so it
Yeah.
really helped make it go, okay, this is gonna be a more serious, it's got a little comedy, like we said, like, funny lines occasionally or whatever throughout, because I don't think Sam can be completely 100% serious.
Yeah.
That's just how he's kind of like me with that. Like I write a horror I might write a horror film, but it's gonna have a little bit of comedy to kind of lighten up
Mhm.
the serious tone because I don't like everything being too serious. It gets
Yeah.
boring after a while. That's one maybe another reason I didn't like Blair Witch. I did not find any of it funny at all. The
No, there's no
characters were
humor in
there's
Blair
no
Witch.
humor and there's not supposed to be, right?
Right.
But that's what bothered me, and I didn't like it. I'm like, come on, I want to. when people are having fun and goofing off maybe a little bit or saying something funny, that makes me relate to them a little bit more. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when they're just so serious, it gets boring, and I'm like, I start checking out and
Well,
everything.
you need to be able to build tension, but you have to let some of the tension go every now and again. And it's hard to write that in there. I mean, Shakespeare's really kind of the expert
Mm-hmm.
in that. But yeah, that's the one thing that lacked in Blair Witch. And I think, in this film they tried that a little bit, but I don't think the tension rises nearly as high as in Blair Witch, so you didn't have to worry about releasing as much tension. But for me, it didn't bother me in Blair Witch.
What reminded me of Blair Witch 2 was them getting lost in the middle of the woods like that and couldn't find their way out and where are they? I'm like, I wanted Sam to put up the thing and go, I am so scared, and stuff and just be like whatever. But no, he didn't do that. And maybe that's a good thing because that would have been very, silly maybe, but or rip off. But I mean, this this had really good moments, and it had and then it had moments like I said, the party, but also seeing those two guys walk by that were like friends of his or whatever, and they were kind of dicks, and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, I, I guess I got it because they were there to kind of say they laugh at them for trying to find this thing, and everything. But it just became the same scene later afterwards that the other guy had, where he was talking, where he was on the paddle boat or whatever, on the boat, the two guys talking. Then later, it's the opposite side of like, why are you friends with those guys? Those guys are dicks, and everything. I'm like,
The other thing that I wanted to point out is I don't know about you guys, but the first time when they see the thing, and by the way, this isn't like most movies where you only see like a shadow and that's it. You don't see it till the end. You see an awful
Yeah.
lot of this monster, which is both good and bad. But after the first time, and I know something like that's running around out there where I'm going to be, I don't go out there without a
mm-mm.
weapon. Ain't
Nope.
no way, ain't no how. You know what I
You
mean?
shouldn't go into the woods without a weapon anyway.
Or without other people, or without letting cops know. You know what I mean? You would have made, I would think you would have made better plans.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other issue I had with it.
Okay. So, John and I have been reviewing the Paranormal Activity movies. We did all the Paranormal Activity movies, which found footage movies, and we've always wondered the same thing. And I'm wondering about this. Who the fuck edited this movie? Like, other than actually Sam Qualiana in real life, who edited this movie? Because you're basically what you're doing is you're just taking the raw footage of everything this guy has shot.
Yeah, you're not supposed to think about
Well,
that.
but it bothers me when
I
I see
know.
these movies
I
because
know.
I'm like, because then they also edited the news footage of the
Yep.
newscaster.
It's
So I'm
the
like,
same thing I go through. And the same thing when they're both in the car and they're talking and he's no longer shooting them, but somebody is shooting them. Somebody up in the corner is
oh
looking
no no
down
no
at
no no
both
no
of
no.
them.
That's just they just put like a little um thing up there. That didn't bother me because I know it's just like they put like uh not tripod but whatever, some kind of thing to hook it up to hook it up to the edge of the thing. So it didn't bother me. Somebody wasn't shooting. It was like literally just on
Talking
a
about like a
stand.
GoPro or something.
Yeah, something like that where it's just like where it's looking down at them. So it's fine. That didn't bother me because I was like that obviously that's a way to get both of them in the shot together. Talk about like one of my least favorite found footage movies is a movie that's supposedly like it has Amityville in the title, but isn't Amityville. It's called Amityville St. Misery Road. And if it just called St. Misery Road, which is what it's about, it would have been fine. But it's called Amityville because whoever fucking put it out, ITN or those
Everybody wants
stupid
to try
companies.
and capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, which it makes no sense because they never once say Amityville in the movie. and it's all about this St. Misery Road. It was awful. The two people that run it, they might be the nicest, sweetest people, but they were just terrible in that movie. And I was just like, oh my God, this is bad. And then you watch a movie like this, and you're like, okay, this is much better. Like they actually, but it comes from that other people's first time film that they ever worked on. This is Sam's at least like third or whatever, fourth, kind of thing. So he already was aware of what to do as he's worked on enough sets.
Yeah, and it felt a little more polished. It didn't have the much as much fun as Snow Shark did, but then that, again, it's a different tone. It knows that it was kind of being silly.
Yeah, it's
When
very
you have
tongue
a
in
shark
cheek.
fin in 2 inches of snow going around like that, they're not taking it seriously.
Well, I mean, any movie called Snow Shark, if you took that movie seriously, I think Jackie, who's in that movie, by the way, thought it was going to be taken a little bit more seriously. And I was like, I should have
Oh,
warned her
Jackie.
ahead of time. I should have said, because I'm the one who introduced her to Sam and said, and he loved her in movies and wanted to work with her. So I was like, that'd be great, you guys. And then she was like, what the fuck did you get me into? And I'm like, I mean, not in a bad way, but like, it's just like, she just was like, this wasn't what I was thinking it was gonna be.
Hmm.
And, and I absolutely loved seeing Jackie in the movie, but I can see what she's saying because like
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
it's a little too silly.
my thing about that is, pick a tone and stick with it and be
Yeah,
consistent. Don't fluctuate back and forth and leave the audience like, what am I supposed to feel?
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they did it well in this case.
And I think you said post-apocalyptic commando sharks. Good God, that's a tough one to say, but you said that because I haven't even seen that yet, but I want to. It's
Oh
just
well, we got to
um,
watch it.
yeah, we'll either do it for Shark Attack Sunday or we'll do it for IFC. I mean, it's gonna happen. But yeah, remember, Liz, you've been on Shark Attack Sunday. I forgot about that. You're on the land shark. You got
Yeah,
to
I
see.
did Land Shark. Oh boy.
And that
Oh.
was hilarious. That was her first time talking with John Ward, I think. And we
Hmm.
all like had a blast. Just I've been doing the TikTok stuff, so I've been re-looking at the old videos that we did, and that one was just we had a lot of fun just chit-chatting about that. It was really silly. And that right there, you pick a tone, it's a movie about a land shark. It's gonna be silly
Right, right,
Yeah.
and
right.
goofy and stuff. And so snow shark, land shark, all these, you're just trying to figure out things, treadmill shark. I mean, just trying to figure out different things to do. And then
Amityville Clown Shark.
I don't think that's been done yet. Um,
Now it
Not
Michael
has.
yet
Razzo,
anyway.
Michael Razzo,
No, it's going to be uh,
Mark Poliana's next movie.
uh,
Anyway, uh, but
Dustin
it,
Ferguson.
no, please no. Um, but Sam, I mean, worked on this, and I think he did an exceptional job, with the tone. I think the tone of this film was sort of perfect for the way it was. I don't think he expected this to be too silly or too serious. He kind of had a little bit a mixture. So, I think he's really good at that. As far as I don't know who, and he did the camera work too because he was the
Yep.
Yeah.
camera guy. So, that's actually very cool that, because I don't think he was the camera guy on Snow Shark, if I'm correct. I think he actually had a camera guy for most of his movies.
Yeah,
So,
he was the writer, director, camera guy, and one of the main stars.
okay, well, yeah, there you go. And editor. So,
And an editor. Yeah.
yep. So there you go.
That's a lot
Um,
of jobs.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you can do them all, like you're really good at them all, do them. That's what I always say.
Mhm.
That's fine. Like I like Robert Rodriguez because he can shoot, he can edit, he can direct, he can produce, write, all that stuff. And he's really good at it. You know, there are some people out there, they're not the greatest DPs, me included. So I'm not Yeah, I'm not just bashing on people. I'm just saying there's some people that I'm not a very good DP. I know this. I'm not even a very good camera photo taker, Like I just that's not where my eye is. That's why I hire people to do that, those jobs. Editing. I don't like editing. I don't like sitting in front of a computer screen and moving things unless it's literally just moving one thing and another thing. Like if it's easy like that, I don't mind. I don't mind shooting these videos and putting them out because I don't do any editing. I just, cut and, you
Every
know.
time you edit, it just gets better and better.
But yeah, but the what is it? Uh this, this stuff, uh it's just different. So some people are really good at that. Do it. Sam Qualiana. If you're really good at, that job, do all of them.
Yeah, there was some really good B-roll stuff that he shot of the nature stuff.
Hmm.
It's just, I
Yeah.
thought it was a little much of it, but and like you said, there may have been a bit of showing off the new technology because, like I said, it looked so much cleaner and so much more polished than the other stuff that I'd seen for him. So, and that's great. I'm glad. I hope he continues to make more movies with his good equipment.
I want Snow Shark on 4K. Can we get that? Can we get that,
Yeah,
please? I'll buy that. I would totally get that. You know, Paul doesn't get B movies on 4K, but I would get it. You know,
I'd get it in Blu-ray.
you get it in Blu-ray. That's true.
Yeah.
'Cause you've been slowly doing that. Soon it will be getting B movies on 4K just to add to your
Well, by
library.
that time it'll be 16K, Al, I'm sure.
That's the only problem is every time they upgrade the type of thing, you also have to upgrade your TV
Hmm.
and your system, and it's not out for long enough, like at least give us 10 years before you try to, make us get a new format. You know what I mean? Like give
Hmm.
us some time. I mean, we just don't have nobody has time and money for that shit. But I do want like an 8K or 16. I've seen 16K televisions. They're just really, really
Really?
fucking expensive.
Already?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
think they're already out there.
So,
Correct.
Moody, do you have this on DVD or on something? You own this
I
one?
do.
So, does it come with anything? Like any
Yes, let me
extras?
uh
And if so, is there like commentary and all that?
so DVD contents. Feature film, outtakes, behind the scenes, short film The Hunting, which we did. We
Hmm.
reviewed for a short film Saturday, and commentary. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I think I may
Uh,
have to pick this up.
Yeah. Well, you like the movie, so pick
Yeah.
it up on DVD. Uh, I think it's probably pretty good on eBay or
And
Amazon or something.
how are you expecting me to react to this film? I bet you weren't expecting me to like it as much as I
I
did.
did not. Especially since like when I messaged you and I said, you have to review, don't forget you have to review this. You were like, I already saw it. And I was like,
I just said I already saw it.
I know,
I didn't
but
put
like I
any.
don't I can't tell tone on
Yeah.
things. So I just assumed that meant, oh God, I already saw it. Like that's where I go with your stuff. I guess I already like planned for you to not like these movies before. But what about you, Liz? Like were you expecting to like this or not like this or have any idea of what you were
Oh
thinking?
no, I enjoyed it. See, I know you guys thought it was really serious, but I was laughing through most of it. Um,
There were parts where it was funny, and stuff. And
So, what parts did you think that were funny that probably shouldn't have been?
so there was one point when they're at the campsite and Neil is yelling something like, "He's coming for us. He's gonna come get us." But he's like slowly walking away from the campsite. And I'm like, what?
yeah,
It didn't make sense to me.
that's just bad. I guess that's bad direction sort of thing on Sam's.
But it was a lot of little stuff, but I enjoyed it. It was really entertaining. Like I said before, I really liked the B-roll footage stuff. I just like nature.
Hmm. Gotcha. That's cool. What did you think when they went back the first time and the bodies were in their tent.
I didn't know what I was looking at. It was just like a jumbled mess of clothes. I
And
didn't.
blood.
Well, yeah, there was a little bit of blood, but it wasn't, I don't
And there
know.
was at least one of those fake feet things that we've seen in all these movies,
Oh yeah.
that we just saw it
Like at
in Sewer
Halloween.
Gators.
Yeah. It was funny because like what is there a scene where like he throws the arm or leg or whatever it was? I think it was a
I
leg.
feel like he
But
threw a torso.
Or
yeah. Maybe
part. It
it's
was
a
definitely a
torso.
part.
Yeah, and I was just like, but it looked like something you got out of like the party store or something, like for $1, like
But what a
and
shitty thing to do. He's like eating his friend.
well, I mean, I don't think Sasquatch or Six Fingers or whatever, I don't think he cares, like that much
Yeah,
about somebody's.
it's a little weird. At one point he actually gets so sick of everything, he runs up and starts beating on the thing, and he just like shrugs him off like nothing.
He just
I
hits
mean,
him, like
you could
smacks
you could
him.
just kill him right then and there, but he doesn't. I guess because the whole thing about he's waiting for you to starve and get weaker, but you're already probably stronger than him now, so
Yeah, I didn't get any of the like the waiting. There's that like yeah, there's one point where like, he's sitting on a log eating or whatever, and like or he's just I don't know if he was eating, but he was sitting on that log, and they were like yelling at him, and he's just like looking at them like okay, whatever.
yeah.
And I was just
I,
like, what is going on here?
I
Like
I think they were trying to make him come off as being sadistic and obviously something more than just animal intelligence. I think this is one of the very few times I could say it might have been a little better if we saw less of the monster.
oh yeah, no yeah, totally.
So take that for what it's worth. It's like I said, it's not like it's a perfect film. It does have some issues. Overall, I still liked it though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
awesome.
I think we
it
are
was
at
fun.
that time to start doing our stinkometer. So we have so for people at home and then for those who may not be well aware of this, I think we have a system called the stinkometer, and it rates our movies from 1 to 10, 1 being very, very good, 10 being very, very stinky. And then you can also give a point 0.5, like 5.5 or 6.5, whatever, if you're not quite sure which one you want to go with. And then we tally them all up at the end of the year and we find out which one, gets up to Stinky Heaven. And I don't think this movie is going to be anywhere close to Stinky Heaven. Honestly, I think it'll be down lower, but uh I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what everybody says. So, Paul,
Yeah,
well, I'll
I
go to
knew you
you
were going to
first.
pick me, and I was going to say I'm actually looking online to see what I gave Snow Shark because I don't remember.
I think Snow Shark, I feel like was a little stinkier than this movie.
I think so too. I just don't remember what I gave it.
Liz, what about you? What will you give it?
I would give it a 4.5 because I I was entertained. It was an entertaining movie,
Okay.
but it was a little bit stinky.
Oh
I
yeah,
was gonna give it a 5. I mean, it's a little stinky, but it's not too stinky, and it's kind of you know, and there. What about you, Paul?
yeah. I think I'll probably do a 5.5.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know,
So 4.5, 5, 5.5. There you go.
yeah,
Um,
it's definitely better than Snow Shark, even though it wasn't as much fun as Snow Shark. But I because it's a different film. It's a different approach.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's fun. It's got its moments, but it's also got some problems, a little problems, a couple little things, especially the suit.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Liz, for coming on the show again, and
Of
everybody
course.
checking this out. I had a blast. Um, yeah, this was a good show. So I was very surprised. Like, I didn't know what to expect with it, and didn't know, what you guys would think.
Yeah, so Snow Shark ended up getting a total of 24. So this one got a what? Lower. It definitely got a lower score. So at 4.5, 5, 5.5, something like that.
Yeah,
So like a 16 maybe.
yeah, something like that. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for this. This has been awesome, and we'll have Liz back again, I'm sure. If not for this season, next season for sure. So thank you guys, and join us then for the next. I think it's Paul's going to be. This is going to be about Paul's episode. So
Thanks for coming on, Liz. Hope you
thank
come
you,
on for
Of
Liz.
one of mine
course.
again.
It's always good to see you guys.
Yes,
Yay.
absolutely.
And we got to do it a little earlier this time so that you could have an early bedtime.
Yeah, so I can get to bed at a good time.
Yep. All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.